Okay, so why did you not get your alt season? Why has this crypto cycle been so different? If I had to show you any chart that explains that, it would be this chart. What is this chart? This is Ethereum in real terms, right? So this is Ethereum against gold. This is a great chart to explain, right? To explain the market, all right? So here we have Ethereum, right? Last cycle, 2021, peaked here, right? After the halving, right? This is Ethereum gold. This is the chart, okay? What's different about this cycle? Here's the peak right before the halving. The cycle is left translated, right? Basically, we have the peak before the halving to the left of the halving, translated to the left, and a downtrend since then, okay? Right? That's why you have not had your alt season, right? Because Ethereum is really the dictator for altcoins. If Ethereum's doing well, altcoins will do well, right? If Ethereum's not doing well, altcoins won't do well. So, what do I think is going to happen going forward? Well, in my opinion, given how Bitcoin looks, given how the stock market is super overextended, we will likely go down minimum for the rest of this year, likely in early 2026 as well. But I think once we get to 2026, early 2026, we'll be very much entering bottoming range, definitely DCA range, if anything. And then that will set us up for next cycle. Because obviously, if you know patterns, I know everybody loves patterns, okay? This is a major long-term bull flag. It is, obviously. And another thing that goes with this is ETH BTC, right? So you guys can see, right? Last cycle, ETH BTC, major uptrend, right? Great time for altcoins. The cycle before that, right? 2016 to 2018, really. Major uptrend for ETH BTC. Well, what happened this cycle? ETH BTC has been in a downtrend the whole cycle up until recently. Why is that? Why is that? Because this big move is foreshadowing the transition into risk on assets, right? With the rate cuts, right? Similar to 2019, right? Similar to 2019 here, okay? Very, very similar. So in my opinion, ETH BTC will likely come down, probably makes a higher low, which is bullish for next cycle, right? Probably comes down as they continue to cut rates, okay? The market will likely bottom, probably close to when they're done cutting rates. And then we'll have an ETH BTC uptrend for the whole of next cycle. What does that mean? That means a cycle more similar to past cycles where ETH BTC is in an uptrend, right? And you get the altcoin performance that everybody wants, right? But this cycle was different. It was a left translated cycle. It was the first cycle that crypto has been in quantitative tightening for the whole cycle, right? So this is all lining up perfectly, right? And if you look here, early 2026, if we go down for the next 2 months, Bitcoin goes below 100K, everybody's going to be saying, "Oh my gosh, the bear market is just starting." And most people are going to, they'll probably miss the bottom, okay? So, I know everybody's used to me being the big perma bear, but really if you have, the only thing that gets you wrecked is expectations. If you're expecting 2025 to be some crazy bull year, you're wrecked. But if you kind of know the situation we're in, then you can be positive, right? You can look at the future and say, "Hey man, like we're probably not that far away from like really good buying, By the time we get into 2026, right? You're probably there. I mean, for sure you're going to be there, okay? So I'm super bullish for next cycle, but yeah, I hope that explains to you guys, the environment that we're in, right? A left translated cycle, right? The peak, the real peak in real terms, right? For almost every altcoin, right? When you put them against gold, right? Adjusting for inflation, was at the halving, right? And this makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense because what does quantitative tightening do? It sucks liquidity from the markets, right? The longer you're in QT, the more liquidity gets drained. It's like holding your breath underwater. So it makes sense that the peak happened closer to last cycle because you're still running off of the liquidity from all the crazy money printing we had in 2020, 2021, right? So it totally makes sense. So I'm looking forward to the next cycle. I'm bearish, obviously, in the short term, the rest of this year. But once we get into 2026, man, I mean, yeah, we'll probably can go a little bit lower, but you're not in selling panic mode. You should be in, buying for the upcoming cycle mode.